So when you send out a pack, you know, as nowadays the new word now, pack. I'm gonna send you a pack. All right, when you send out a pack, the beats is already mixed. It's not much the MC has to do with it. He just rhymes over it.
Well, he gets a I would say a pre-master. It's not mastered, but it's mixed.
Right.
But it's also only the MP3, right?
Right.
It's not so. It also happened to me that they actually recorded the full song on the MP3 and then released it without telling me. You know, it happened a few times too. You know, but then I'm kind of pissed because I said, you know, when you put out that song, you also represent me because it's my beat, and people might think, oh, it doesn't sound too good. Because it's an MP3. You know, when you want to work with me, you know, I give you a beat for free. Don't just rap on don't record. You can record on the MP3, but send the vocals back to me and let me do the rest. And then even if you want to mix your own vocals, I don't mind. But my beat, let me kind of arrange the beat, you know, to your verse, to your vocals, you know, because I like to do some little breaks, you know, support that verse or that hook. Hey.
Salute. What's good?
Salute, bro. How are you?
All right, all right. Now make sure I'm saying it right. It's Faat?
Faat.
Faat.
Faat, yeah, because it's actually a Cantonese name. That I used to live in Hong Kong for a while, like for almost 3 years, like a long time ago. And yeah, that was the name that was given me. And it means something like to keep something precious. No. To preserve something precious, something like that.
You know what you're preserving? That boom bap hip hop beats.
It fits so good, doesn't it?
It's so good. So you out there in Germany.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the vibe like with the beats? Like, did a lot of those producers switch over to the trap sound that America started adapting?
You know, in Germany, maybe they're a little bit behind. There are some trap artists, but you know, I'm being honest. I don't follow what's going on in Germany anymore, since, you know, I'm quite old. You know, I went through all the 90s. Well, I experienced the 90s, actually the late 80s. You know, I started out with breakdance, you know, but so in the 90s, it was totally different vibe. Obviously, there was no trap. But now, yes, the music changed to kind of like trap or drill kind of style, but there's still a lot of boom bap hats, you know.
Okay, gotcha. So y'all just keeping it, preserving that precious
hip
hop and things like that. Okay, so now, being from Germany, you got into the hip hop thing. Was it? Did you start? What were you doing first? Were you making beats? Was that or you started with beats? Do you DJ? Like,
nah, totally different. Well, I started out with breakdance.
Okay.
Like in the 80s, but I wasn't that good, any good. I would say I would just, like, you know, I knew some basic moves and stuff like that, you know, like a little bit like this robot dance and little acrobatic things, but you know, I wasn't that good. And then I really, because through breakdance, I discovered rap music, right? So we talk about 84, 85, right? So at that time, I didn't have any like exposure to hip hop music. So then breakdance came on. I saw it in TV on a show and stuff, and I was like, "What's that, man? That's cool," and blah blah blah. So we started to copy that, you know. And then all these movies came out, like Breakin' and Electric Boogaloo and stuff like that. And then we from there, that's basically when I hit the first time rap music, you know, like Fat Boys and Run DMC.
Wow.
My first 12-inch I ever bought is Spoonie G, Godfather of Rap.
Oh wow. Yo, you sound like you my age.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, you sound like you my age. You know, I'm 48.
All right, I'm a bit older then.
Okay, wow. Okay, yeah, okay,
I'm
okay.
51.
Okay, okay. So we from that era. We know what's
We
what.
from the same era then.
We know
Yeah.
what's what. You know, right, right. So how did the beats come into play?
Well, first, after I quit breakdancing, I became an MC for a long
Ah,
time, to be honest. You know, like I started in the late 80s, like 89 or something. I wrote, well, first I just learned other MCs lyrics, like, you know, like The Message or Ice-T's, Colors, stuff like that.
right.
And then I started to write my own lyrics.
Mhm.
And all through the 90s up until 2003, I was actually rapping. I did a couple of albums and little shows and this and that. You know, I opened for Faat at one time. But even then, I already was always digging for samples and give it to the producer, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
and then at some point I started to make my own beats, like maybe like 2002. Yeah,
Mhm.
2002. I think I started to make my own beats, you know.
Right,
Uh,
right, right. So let me ask you this question: since you said do you still rap or do you still write rhymes?
no. I
Okay.
stopped that like 2002. Yes, maybe
Okay.
that's the time when or
Right.
three,
Right.
around that time. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this question because I ask this question all the time on this show. All
Yeah.
right. You used to be an MC, so and you make beats now. Who is the better beat maker slash producer? The MC slash beat maker, or the MC that turned beat maker, or the DJ slash beat maker, or the DJ who turned beat maker? Which one out of those two? Who makes the better beats?
I would say something like that. I would say there's no ultimate answer to this
Mm,
because obviously, you know, the producer I really look up to is DJ Premier, and he's a DJ, right?
right.
He
Mhm.
used in records, and you could say that a DJ know how to move a crowd or know what to play it. You know, he got that feeling for that
Mhm.
and all that. But we talk about a situation in a club or something like that, right?
Right.
But now, if you used to rap or used to be an MC,
Mhm.
maybe you also have an idea what beat might be better for you to rap on. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's why I can't say DJ or MC producer, you know, are better. You know what I mean? So there, to me, there's no ultimate answer to this. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I get the point that people tend to say that DJs are the better producers. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, they do say that. So you started making beats in 2002, right?
Yeah.
What did you start with? What was your first piece of equipment in 2002?
So basically, my friend who produced my stuff before,
Mhm.
he used and he just is working with a DAW called Samplitude. I don't know if you heard about it, because
Mhm.
somehow nobody knows this. You know what I mean? But it's quite it's a pro tool. You know, it's a you can probably similar to like Reason or you know, all these, but it's kind of like, I would say like top kind of like very good software, very good
Right,
software, because you can do literally everything with it. You
right.
can chop, you can, you know, you can do everything with it.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, it's a difference. Now I'm also using an MPC one.
Okay.
I went from I started, but yeah, for a long time, maybe up until 2019, I only did beats on this DAW called Samplitude,
Mhm.
you know, and but I was always kind of intrigued to use MPC, you know,
Right,
because
right.
so I wanted to try to, you know, yeah, okay, before I had an MPC, I got a what's this, MPD, is it MPD? I still got it here, but I don't use it anymore. Like this thing here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
But it didn't do nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like the sound didn't change. So, in my opinion, if you use, I still use Samplitude though. I don't use the MPC software. I use this just to make the drums, but to chop samples and stuff, I still use sample tube. But I will use I do the drums on my MPC-1.
Right,
You know?
right, right.
I don't have it that long.
Right, right, right. And you were saying with the, you know, because coming from that era, you know, I figured you might have wanted like a SP1200, an MPC 2000 XL, you know, an Airstar X, you know, the bang on those pads. So you started with software.
Yeah.
Now, do you see a difference between software and hardware? Do you feel that software allows you the workflow a little easier?
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously, because I've been working with it for a long time, I had to get used to an MPC workflow. It's really different. It's not the same, you know. This this is a software and this is a music instrument, really. Right. But so you know, I'm still learning. You know, so my beats are like now I'm that far that my beats, the drumming is coming from the MPC, but all the rest is still done on the sample tube.
Right. Now, some people I've heard that when they use software and compare it to like hardware, right? Software is like you're making beats with your eyes, but hardware, you have to make beats with your ear.
I don't know about that, you know, but in the end you have to listen to it, and I can show you. You can listen to some beats of mine that I did on the software, and most people would think that was done on the MPC or something like that, you know, machine or whatever, you know. But it's totally true. The feeling is different than just you know, controlling a mouse, you know, and looking at something instead of using the MPC playing. But I mean, you also have all that work to cut the samples on point and you know, chop it and this and that. I mean, in the end, it's the playing the pads, you know, what makes the difference, and the sound, of course, you know.
Right. So, I mean, coming from that era that you come from, I know you got to be digging in the crates out there in Germany.
Oh yeah. You know, I mean,
you're digging in the crates.
You know, yeah, digging in the crates, definitely. When you know, now it's kind of rare to find shops that sell records like vinyl. You can only order it mostly. There's you know, where I live in is Hanover, Germany. It's a capital of state called Lower Saxony, so it's a big city, you know. It's a capital city. But I think there might be like one shop that sell a few records still, like some secondhand. But you know, once you went there like twice, you've seen everything, you know what I mean? It's not like they get every few weeks new stuff there. So but before, we had a lot of record stores, and you know, I was digging for samples all the time, you know.
Right.
Now it's different. It's hard, you know. Sometimes when we have like a flea market, stuff like that, you can go there, try to find some stuff, you know.
Right. Now, when you were digging at the record store, okay, because you started making beats in 2002. So when you were digging in the record store, did you have a specific section of the store you went to, or did you have to go through everything?
Back in the days, when I was really digging for sample for records, you know, mostly I went for like jazz stuff, soundtracks, soul music, that obviously stuff like that, you know. But now it changed, you know. Right. But now it's easier to find more crazy stuff that you never thought about, like from Thailand. You know, I got samples from Thailand. They also do like soul music or funk music, but in their own way, you know, like Japanese music. They got so many crazy dope stuff, you know.
Now, do you go in knowing what you want, or is it like it's all trial and error when you go to the record store?
Well, like I said, nowadays I don't go to any record stores anymore because there aren't any to go to, right, in the first place, you know. So now everything is online, but I got a circle of friends, like, you know, for example, I got one friend who loves movies. He's like a real geek, and he collects movie soundtracks, like from like Italian B movies or French movies,
Right.
you know, stuff like that. So you got like thousands of soundtracks from like B movies and stuff like that. So you can find a lot of dope samples there. You know, so when I go to him, obviously, he got everything. He got everything on digital, like, you know, all his records or CDs, whatever. He buys records and CDs, and he actually orders them like from Italy or France, and then he would just put it all on his computer, you know.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
and then because he knows I make beats, so he will send me his latest stuff always, you know, stuff like that.
And one thing about sampling from soundtracks, I noticed the sound is usually, the samples, they're usually more dramatic. You know, when you get them from like soundtracks or whatever, you know, I be loving those soundtracks, you know.
Or you got just some dope sounds, you know. Sometimes I just would sample it, like, or I would sample it and then I would just take a small bit, just like one sound, and then like you know, pitch it and you know, make a new melody out of that sound or a few sounds, stuff like that, you know.
Right. So when you were digging in the crates, you know, were you one of those diggers that spent a lot of money on records, or were you into the dollar crates?
No, I didn't spend a lot of money because I didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
But I would you know, the good thing is you could listen to it, you know. So I would just get a stack of records and get in the corner, get the headphones on, and I was playing to it, and whatever I found, you know, mostly you could try to bargain, you know, you could tell them, oh, come on, I'll give you this and I take these and blah, blah, blah. And most of the times they would say, I take them, you know, because
yeah. And see, the thing is, like, if you've been digging since 2002, you run out of room for these records, you know. So it's like nowadays you really got to dig online, or your records, or your whole house is gonna be filled with just nothing but records, and there's gonna be no room for anything. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Right. So, you know, I know digging online is pretty much the way to go. It's like the natural progression. Once you've been digging and you just run out of room, you know, the hold those records, you know. So now when it comes to drums, right? Are you getting where you getting your drums from? Are you messing with packs, or do you have still have old records that have, like, you know, break beats and all of that on it? Where you getting your drums?
Yeah, also different ways, you know. It's not just one way. Obviously, I have some packs, like some, you know, some you know, who doesn't, right? So, but if I use them, I try to kind of manipulate the sound, just not take it like one to one.
Right.
So you know, but other than that, yeah, I also do chop out like the snare of a song or a kick if it sounds dope, you know what I mean? Like, or the hi-hat, you know, sometimes they have like whole breaks in between the song or in the beginning. So I use it from there, but you know, but there's like, I don't limit myself, like just, it got to be from a record, or else all these nerds will tell me, nah, you're not real because you
right exactly.
You know, who cares really? I mean, most of the consumers they won't care. They don't care anyway, you know what I mean? Most of the people that just listen, they're not like have anything to do with producing or beat making or being in any kind of way active in hip hop. They don't really care. As long as it sounds dope, it sounds dope, you know.
Right. And I know you said when you're using packs, you like to switch it up a bit. So I guess you take those drums and you'll stack them to make it your own, right? And EQ it, and do all the extra stuff that needs to be done to make it yours.
Yes, EQ a little bit, or sometimes you just change the tone or whatever, you know what I mean? But there's so many ways, you know.
So when you do that, right? So basically with your drums, you're finger drumming it out. Is most of your drum patterns finger drummed out, or will you take a loop, a nice drum loop that you
sometimes now, since I'm working with the MPC more and more, I don't really use breaks. Sometimes I do, but when I'm not that good, and like, you know, I couldn't like go on stage and do live drumming with the thing, you know what I mean? So I do it one by one. I start with the hi-hat and then maybe make some changes in the hi-hat, you know what I mean? And then do the kick or the snare, and then, you know, so it builds up, you know. So, but because I've seen people, they do everything at once, like the hi-hat, the kick, and the snare. They're so good at it, you know. I got friends, they do whole shows on the MPC or something like, you know, they do on the MPC Live, I think, and they do whole shows, they do whole beats, like playing everything. I couldn't do that, man. I don't have that.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you keep your drum patterns from keep them from constantly being plain? Because it's hard like that. Boom, boom. How do you know what I mean, to make it, to jazz it up, to make it, you know, sound different each time? Like what do you do?
Yeah, also depends on what the sample is like. You know, if I use a loop, or if I like created a loop, you know, I kind of go with how the sample sounds. You know, but I mean, there's only so many ways you can, you know, do it, right? I mean, you can like do boom, cha, 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 like, you know, have more snares that just always on the three, boom, boom, cha, boom, boom, cha, you know, so you can kind of switch it up like that. But sometimes I know what you're getting at. It's like when you get like some dope break, you could kind of replay that break. You know, I did that before too, a lot of times. You know, I got a drum break, but I would just change out the sounds, like the kick and the snare, or I would stack it. You know, you have that loop of that break, and then you would stack some stronger kick or whatever, or snares and shit on that, you know.
Or sometimes just loop it as it is.
Loop it as is, yeah, but I never did that though.
No.
Just a pure drum break, I never used that.
Never.
Because I always felt like it's not sounding kind of strong enough, maybe, you know. I don't know. I always had to add something. But I can see to do it though, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I never did that, you know?
Right. Definitely. Now, when it comes to like playing bass lines, do you have a keyboard, or are you sampling like the note, a bass note, and laying it out like 16 pads or whatever? How does that work?
So how I do it is also depending on what the sample is like, you know what I mean? So like, let's say I have a loop, like I found a nice loop, and it already has a dope bass line. What I would do is I would filter the bass line so that you just only have the bass line. And then if it sounds too distorted or something, I would replay the bass line. I just would, you know, I would use either the keyboard or whatever, the MPC, or, you know, and then I would just replay the bass line, match the tones, and then but I still would keep the filtered bass line. So I got the filtered bass line, and I got the sample without the bass line. You know, I would you know what I mean? Like, so I have two tracks. One is the bass line, one is the sample without the bass line, you know.
Right.
Like that. But when I chop it up, I just add my own bass lines, you know, like if it doesn't fit.
Definitely. Because I know for a lot of beat makers, you know, playing bass lines is it's always been like a difficulty for a lot of people, and trying to match the
it is. It's not easy though, but it's not that easy though. But I mean, it's no. First, I always filter bass lines, you know. So you have a bass line already there, but then I started to try to, because it doesn't sound too nice, you know. You couldn't filter it like 100%.
Right.
So I started to learn to replay a bass line. It's actually not that hard. So I would just play the bass line alone and just go tone for tone and play and try to find the right tone, that matching tone to, you know, and then I had my own bass line, you know, so just like that, you know.
Right. Now with the samples, I noticed you said a loop or whatever. Now, how do you know when to chop a sample and when to just let it loop? Like, you know?
Sometimes, you know, a lot of times I found a dope loop, and then I was adding everything, like the drums and whatnot, and then I thought, well, actually that's too easy, that's too simple, you know. It's just like, it sounds dope, but it's just too simple. So I start to, you know, to cut it at some certain points, like on the snare or on the kick, and then I started to exchange it, you know. If it fits, sometimes it does, you know. It sounds crazy, but you know, but sometimes when the loop is so dope, I try to add little bits here and there, little, you know. Sometimes I like to do this using not full words, but just like syllables, like and then I just spread it over the loop, make it fit. You know what I mean? It's
right. Because one thing I noticed too about, sometimes when I make a beat, sometimes I can mess up a good groove trying to chop, 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 chop all the
Yes,
time.
yes,
Sometimes
I
you just gotta
know.
let it rock because it's just that dope,
Yeah, exactly,
You
exactly.
gotta let it just go off.
So that's the time when you have to make your drums really
Right.
nice. You got that loop, and then
Mhm.
just get the drums right, and then that's it. You don't
Right,
need
right,
any
right.
more. The rest will be done by the MC.
Right. So
Yeah.
when it started, like when it's sequencing, like when you do the sequences, right?
Mhm.
Is it usually a 2-bar loop, 4-bar loop, 8-bar loop, or 16-bar loop that you start off with on your beat?
So mostly I have a 2-bar loop
Okay.
first,
Mm-hmm.
but then because I also like to extend it to a 4-bar loop, so I
Mm-hmm.
would kind of change the drums, so it's not too repetitive,
Right.
and then so because I like to switch the sample sometimes. It's the same, let's say from the same song, or just flip it a little bit different, or just
Right.
take out the bass line for a little bit, but yeah, mostly I start with 2 bars, just
Right.
to find the right,
Mm-hmm.
and then I build up from that.
Right, right. So when it comes to sampling, right, do you get jazzy with it where you take like different records, chop pieces of different records and put it all together and really try to make sense? Or do you stick with just one sample for the most part?
Sometimes, let's say I got a dope loop. I got that track.
Mm-hmm.
I got that dope loop, but I can't find really anything worth shopping in that song. Then I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking that I gotta add something, man.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just like a little vocal sound, or some sounds, and then I'm trying to look at that. First I try to think what would fit.
Right.
And then when I have an idea, then I would just look to my samples. I got like a million of folders with samples and stuff. So I just go through some folders and try to find something like a nice sound, but it wouldn't be like a melody or a whole loop, just like bits and pops.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So so basically, like I said, you dig in the crates, you're finding different melodies, different sounds to make it fit, to make it like sound good. So
Yeah.
how do you know when a beat is done? It's like, okay, I'm finished. Do you find yourself sometimes overproducing because you're overthinking?
And here comes my experience being an MC. Here comes in. So I'm thinking, I always never liked it when I was an MC, when there was too much in a beat.
Right.
So like kind of you have to fight against the samples or against the beat when rapping. So that's what I'm thinking about when I make a beat. So I always think when I make a beat, how would it sound when an MC, is on this, and if I would put this and this and that, and that would be too much.
Right.
So I always kind of try to keep it a little simple, not simple in the sense of chopping, but simple in the way of not putting too much into it.
Right, right. Because as an MC, a lot of times the MC is the last instrument
Yeah, exactly.
that can bring out,
Right, right.
that beat as well.
Yes,
Yeah, definitely.
it's
So
true.
yeah, because you notice nowadays a lot of beats is that minimalist sound is like kind of popular nowadays. Like the
Yeah,
Griselda sound, where it's
yeah,
like minimalist and it's repetitive.
yes,
That
yeah, that's
repetitive
true.
sound or
That's true.
whatever. And things like that. So I want to ask you something else. I'm trying to think. It was also at the top of my head because I was talking about the beats or whatever. So when it comes to sequences now, are you linking sequences together to make one beat?
You know, the thing is, when I have my first loop,
Mm-hmm.
I have tracks, right? Many
Right.
tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have the drums, the bass line, the samples,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the samples. I have this one sample. When I do the first 2 bars,
Right.
I would do many tracks. Like the drums is always there, and then I would have like an intro. Then I would have like a break in between the hook part. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so there's some changes. So then actually you just extend the beat to like a full song, and then I would just take stuff off, You know what I mean?
Right.
Like for example, the intro would be just the sample alone, or like flip it a little bit, and then the
Right.
kicks come in, the drums come in,
Right.
and
So you
then
would copy
you
those
know,
sequences and then
right.
each
So
sequence
I have
like
the intro, let's say 4 bars intro,
Mhm.
then I have like 16 bars the rap verse, but
Mhm.
within those 16 bars, I will have a few changes, and
Right.
then you have the hook part, 8 bars, and then repeat, you know, something like
Right.
that.
And then you link it all in song mode as a song
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Now, do you mix and master your own beats, or do you have an engineer
Yeah,
for that?
I definitely mix my own beats.
Mhm.
I had some not I wouldn't say bad experiences, but something like that made me feel that's not my beat anymore.
Right.
You know, when I was sending out stems for, you know, I produced a whole album for a good friend of mine in the States.
Mhm.
And then we decided to give, now that's 2 years, almost 2 years ago.
Mhm.
But then we decided to give it to a real professional engineer, all the songs in stems. So in the end, all the beats sounded dope, but they didn't sound like I did it. You know, it's not me. It's not me.
Right.
And then because in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been working a lot. I've been really actually, maybe I produced about 30 to 40 albums.
Wow.
Yeah. And so doing this much work, right?
Mhm.
It will train you. You know, you become automatically better at mixing and all that. So now what I do now is I mix my own beats,
Mhm.
but sometimes have someone else mastering it. But they can't change my sound anymore. Then, you know, they just can
Right.
improve, enhance the whole track, the
Mhm.
sound of the whole track, but they couldn't change my beat, my ideas, the way I want to hear it, you know. So
Right. Right. So when you send out a pack, you know, as
yeah,
nowadays the new word now, pack. I'm gonna send you a pack. Or when you
yeah.
send out a pack, the beats is already mixed. It's not much the MC has to do with it. He just rhymes over it.
Well, he gets a I would say a pre-master. It's not mastered, but it's mixed.
Right.
But it's also only the MP3, right?
Right.
It's not so. It also happened to me that they actually recorded the full song on the MP3 and then released it without telling me. You know, it happened a few times too. You know, but then I'm kind of pissed because I said, you know, when you put out that song, you also represent me because it's my beat.
Right.
And people might think, oh, it doesn't sound too good. That's because it's an MP3. You know, when you want to work with me, you know, I give you a beat for free. Don't just rap on don't record. You can record on the MP3, but send the vocals back to me and let me do the rest. And then even if you want to mix your own vocals, I don't mind. But my beat, let me kind of arrange the beat, you know, to your verse, to your vocals, you know, because I like to do some little breaks, you know, support that verse or that hook, you know. So, but yeah, so now I always make sure they get a good mix,
Mhm.
but because but it's actually before we do anything, we talk now, you know. I learned from my mistakes and stuff, you know. So so I don't do that anymore, you know. But
So
yeah,
when people reach out for beats, there's a conversation that must be had. It's not through. It's still we gotta talk. Like, you know, before I send you this is what I expect. Yeah, because you
right.
really have because you can't be starstruck too with a lot of these guys as well, and you have to let them know this is how I'm doing it, you know, things like that. Now, have you ever sent a beat that you thought was dope to an MC, and he's like, "Yo, take that part out," but you had to stand on that, like, no, like that's part of the beat. We can give you something else.
I had not exactly like this, but kind of in a different way. So, but and then, you know, I'm not like totally blocked, you know. I'm
Right.
not like that, you know. So I sent a beat to a quite known MC, and then he came back to me. He said, you know, could we change the hook part to a rap part and the rap part to the hook part?
Mm.
So I was listening to it. So actually that could work, you know. So that happened one time. So I did that, you know. But usually it never happened to me that they said, "Oh, can you take this out?" Well, sometimes they ask me, "Can you make that a little lower and this a little louder, or whatever, you know?" But not really like take something out. Or
Right.
sometimes they ask me, "Can you change the BPM? You know, make it a little slower or a little faster?" But other than that, most of
That
the
could be a
times,
headache because sometimes when you stand by something, it's like this is what it is.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
right,
this is what I
right,
was feeling when I made this. Because, like I said, it's your record too. You know, and it's like this is what I felt when I made this. This is my representation, and you want me to change and do all this and do. You know, you know, I don't like that. Me personally,
yeah,
when they
yeah,
want you
yeah,
to change all of this, maybe we'll just put this aside. I'll get it to someone else. Let me find something that's more suitable for you.
right, right, right.
You
That's
know,
true. Yeah,
and things like that. So I know when you're making beats, you have a concept in mind, but due to the fact that you work with certain people in the States, you're not there with them in the
right.
studio. You have those times where they'll make a gangster song to what you would have maybe like a chick song beat that you in your head, this is a female song, but they do some gangster stuff and you're like, it sounds dope, but it's not what the direction I thought you should go in. I know. Do you ever have those moments?
Um, I think I didn't have that. The guys I'm working with
Mm-hmm.
a lot. There's like, I have people I really work close with, like
Mm-hmm.
really, as in like we have like every other day we have like a video chat because
Right.
I'm in Germany, he's in the States or in Canada. I work with some Canadians too,
Right.
and so we would chat, online chat, and talk about stuff and like how we go with it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think if that happened actually, that I was like, no, but not really happened to me yet,
Well,
like
that's good. That's good because that could be very frustrating.
it could be though. I can see that though, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
frustrating.
Like sometimes you have an idea for a beat. When you make a beat, you have an idea already, like a little bit. Oh man, that if he would like some storytelling or
Right.
whatever, and then they come up with totally the opposite,
Right. Right. Now, do you feel that American artists, MCs, because you're from overseas, do you ever see, or has you ever like being taken advantage of because you're from overseas, where you've given out beats, they took your beats and put it out and made money off of it, didn't compensate you? Has that ever happened? Or
Not really, not
or,
really.
or they try to charge you an arm and a leg because you're from overseas?
So actually, for example, right now I'm about to like, well, the album is done. I made a new producer album, and I got from Canada. One is from England.
Mm-hmm.
So a few of them, of course, I had to give some bread, but not like a lot, But obviously they like some big names, like old school legends, whatever you
Right.
want to call it. And obviously they ask for some bread, but they don't ask too much because sometimes maybe I've worked with them already before, but yeah, it didn't happen to me that I was like paying someone, for example, and never got a verse back, or I gave someone a beat and then they just dropped it without telling me nothing,
Right.
no, it didn't happen to me so far.
Right. So no one's ever spit a recycled verse for you that you paid for? Because there's a lot of that going on too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wouldn't know that then. Maybe.
Oh, right.
Because I got a lot of like I did the album with LOG.
LOG, yes.
LOG from Boston, right?
Yeah. True indeed.
Remember LOG, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Shout out to LOG.
LOG and the Bulldogs. They came out like in the early '90s too.
Yes, sir.
And we got a whole album, and but then again, he could have maybe used some old verses, but then again, he mentions me sometimes in his lyrics, but he could change that. Maybe he said another name before, whatever,
No.
But no, I like not happened to me yet. So
Right. So I know you sell beats as well, correct?
right.
Right. Okay. So
Not much though.
right. Because that era of, I don't think we'll ever see that era of getting 20,000, 50,000 a beat again.
Nah.
That era is done. That whole
I was far from that.
beats getting 100,000 per beat. that day is over. So with that being said, you probably prefer what, to do the splits with the artists? Y'all come together and y'all just do the splits? Is that a way, is that a good way to get paid as far as a sample-based beat maker to make some money? Or
Well, yeah, I'm selling beats, but it's not like my main focus. My main focus is to make dope music that I like to listen to.
Right.
I don't know how many people I work with in the States, but like I got a lot of MCs that we already like 2 or 3 albums deep, and there's no money involved. It's like I give the beat, he rap, and then we put it out, and then we share. We split whatever comes in.
Right.
Some people buy beats from me. It's not too many, because I also I'm not on BeatStars or whatever. I put, because before I was sending. But the stupid thing that happened to me was I was sending out beat packs. What would you do? You send out one beat pack to one MC, and then have another and another, how many beats you need to have, So I was sending out beat packs and telling them, if you need some from that, tell me. So I reserve the beat for you, because other people will have the beat packs too.
Right.
It's not only you, right? So it happened a few times that like someone took my beat pack, or got my beat pack, used one beat, rapped on it, and never told me anything. Then I took that same beat, I gave that same beat to another person, and we made a real album, and that beat is on the album. It just happened to me recently. That beat was like 2 years old, and the album came out, we still got June, right? Yeah, this month actually, through Black Buffalo Records. So there's a song on it with a beat, and then another dude who's not like much, or not as known, he's dope on the mic, but he used that beat too. Right. So now there's the song with 2 songs with the same beat out there, but
right. Yeah, and I hate that, because you'll give out a pack or whatever, and they'll use certain beats, but they'll sit on the other beats for a long time, and you're like, oh, what are you doing with those? Right. What have you? Right. So nowadays, when you send out beat packs, you're sending out one pack to these different.
I don't send out packs anymore. You know what I do now?
Oh, wow.
I stopped sending out packs. What I do now is, when I make a new beat, I mostly make like a 40-second clip and put it on Instagram and Facebook. But I got a page on my Bandcamp page just for beats, and I would put all my beats there. And if someone wants to have a beat, they can listen on my Bandcamp, and if they want to have a beat, they will tell me, and I take it down. So I have the control what happened with this beat. You know what I mean? Like, so they can just go to my page and check out the beats, and if they find some, they can tell me, yeah, I like that beat, this and that number, this and that, and then I would take it off the page, so it's exclusive for him. Right.
Now, absolutely. So you work with some German MCs as well, correct?
One.
All right. Right. So
one, in Germany is kind of I don't know. I mean, I'm my age. I'm not going out anymore like in clubs and blah blah blah. I got a wife. I got a family. I don't need to go out. But when the thing is, the hip hop scene is small already anyway in Germany. The boom bap scene. So and most likely all of them would be like half my age. Right. So what the fuck I'm supposed to do with them? You know what I mean? What I mean? Like, what I'm doing with them? You know what I mean? Like they doing all that shit, getting high, getting drunk, whatever, get into fights. I'm that's not my thing. So I'm gonna do my beats. Right. So the way it works now, mostly I work with Americans because I'm not too much into German rap. I don't know why. Maybe it's the age thing, but I would feel it more when I was their age, probably. But so yeah.
So you prefer to make your beats at the house and then send them out to the artist you're working with instead of having them in the studio, being in the studio.
No. If that would be possible, I would always prefer to have the artist in my studio. You know what I mean? I would be there in their studio, but since they're in America, I'm here. Right. How it's kind of hard, but that's why we have the good thing. The modern technology allows us to, like what we do right now, video chat. We can talk every day. It doesn't cost a thing. So you know, we can talk about everything, what to do, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would prefer to rather be in the studio with them. I'm just talking about now. Let's talk about Germany. If I wanted to have them in my studio, I needed to know them first. For that, I had to go out in the clubs or wherever the hip hop parties are, you know, and you know, get them to know and take them to my studio, blah blah blah, like that. You know, but it's kind of weird because of the age difference.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right,
So
right, right. Definitely. So do you feel like working side by side with an artist makes the project sound much better than just sending out beats to that artist?
well, when it comes to making beats, I don't really need to have
Right,
anyone sitting behind me or next to me. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll make beats, and then when they hear the beat, you know, the next step maybe would be more better, like
right,
having the MC with you and then going through some beats, and then be like, yeah, I like that, but can we
right,
like then talk about what we do with it and how we do it or whatever, you know? That would be dope, you know.
right,
That's a little more difficult doing online, you know, because
right.
you know the shit never sounds
Yeah,
as
it
good
doesn't
as when
sound
you
right.
sit in the studio, right?
That's right. So you're the
Yeah.
type that you don't want the MC sitting there while you're making the beat. You rather, you know, you don't mind playing the beats for an MC if he happens to be sitting there, but while you're going through records and making the beat, you don't really want to deal with that, right?
I mean, if I think about it, back in the days, you know, I was sharing a flat or apartment with a DJ who also produced my beats when I was rapping. So he had his room, I had my room. So when he was making beats, sometimes I would be like sitting there and write rhymes while he make the beat. Then I would annoy him. I was there, yo, keep playing that. Stop messing around. I want to hear that so I can write, you know. But no, I'm still not finished it, you know. So I can feel it, man. You know. So it's better if you at least have that loop, you know, and then let him work with it, and then you can still add or change stuff, you know.
Right, 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 right. So I know you're a fan of this hip hop. What beat makers are you feeling that's out now? I'm not talking about the classic legendary ones, but anybody that you're feeling right now that's got you like, yo, I like that, motivates you to go in.
There's this and I keep forgetting his name, from England. He got dope beats. Can't get his name right now. Sampling a lot of like B-movie stuff too, or like some. But you know, I'm feeling Tone Spliff.
Tone Spliff, yeah.
You know, Tone Spliff also good at cutting. Like
Cutting,
he's a
yes.
DJ. So actually, on my new album, he's doing all the cuts. You know, he's doing all the cuts on the tracks.
Right.
I'm feeling Hanzo Blades.
Enzo Blades, I just spoke to him a couple of nights ago. He's on here.
Cool. Yeah, that's my man.
Yeah,
he's not rapping, right? He's doing both, producing and rapping. He's actually on my new album too.
Okay.
Who else I'm feeling? I mean, you know, there's a bunch of dope producers out there, you know, like what's his name? General Watkins.
General Watkins, the General, yes.
Watkins the General, Watkins.
Yeah. That's
he's dope. He's dope with his shit.
He's out here in North Carolina, where I'm at.
Oh, cool. Are you in North Carolina? I work with a couple of MCs from Gastonia. You know, a place called Gastonia?
Okay. Oh, wow. Gastonia?
Yeah,
that's like 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes away from me. Yeah, I know Gastonia.
Yeah, I'm working with a guy called, oh man, well, there's Sam Fortune.
Okay.
There's Weapon Lords. He also does beats, also dope. And Pyro the Hot.
Okay. And you also work with the MC. I just put an album out with Mr. Ripley.
Oh shit, Mr. Ripley. Yeah, I got 2 EPs with him. I got I think we got an album and an EP with another MC called Elementary.
Yeah,
and,
I
gotta listen to that shit.
Yeah, me and him just put out Road Nation 2.
Nice. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, he was just over here last week. You know, I was just kicking it with him, whatever. Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Because he had mentioned you. I said, yeah, I know who Bo Fat is. Yeah, I said definitely. I want to get you on. You know what I mean? Things like that. You know, I rock with Bo Fat. I said, I know who Bo Fat is. He's definitely on my list. I'm definitely gonna get him on here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. He's dope, man. He's dope.
Yeah, he's dope. He's dope. Definitely dope. Good dude too. Real good dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Good dude. Now, have you been over to the States to really meet these these artists you work with in the physical yet?
I've been over to the States, but I've never met any of the. You know, I met some MCs when they. You know, I got two jobs, right? I mean, I make beats and everything, but I don't live off that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I got jobs, and one of my job is being a security at a club,
Right.
and that club has a lot of concerts, hip hop concerts. So that way, I met a lot of these old school legends, and you know, I met them all actually, but like artists that I work with a lot, not yet. You know, so you know, actually next week I'm meeting two MCs because they're in Germany on tour that are on my new album that is Crumb Snatcher.
Crumb Snatcher, yeah, Crumb Snatcher down with
the other one is Solomon Childs. He's
yeah,
like a
heard of him too.
paying affiliate.
Yep.
They are in a city nearby, so I'm gonna meet them next week. Yeah. But other than that, you know, there are some MCs that I work a lot with, like a lot. Right. Like one guy from Milwaukee called Tayamo Denku. We got like 5-6 albums out, but we already got like maybe 5-6 more in the can ready to go. Or my man
never met him physically. Wow, it's amazing, right? Never met him physically, but y'all do all this work.
I mean, we're doing what we do right now, but yeah, never like in the physical, you know. Wow. So yeah, but other dudes like G-Fam Black, I don't know, have you heard of him? Yeah, we just finished off our second album. Wow. It's probably dropping in August. That shit is hard because you know G-Fam Black is hard.
Very hard, very hard. G-Fam Black is
on the other side, I got my man Kenneth Masters. He's from Philadelphia, but he lives in Oakland now. But yeah, but we just released an album on vinyl actually this month through Chopped Herring Records. Right. And we got a lot of content, and it will be 100% sure that I'll meet these guys. Right. Either I go there or they come here going on tour or something like that. But I will meet these guys. Absolutely, you know.
Right. So as a sample-based beat maker, you know, how do you don't have to answer this question, but how do you dance around the sample police?
Oh, well, I just dance around it, you know. I mean, you know, it's all about, you know, sometimes man, I wish I could, maybe who cares, you know. I have songs, well, one didn't come out yet, but the sample is so fucking famous, you know what I mean? Like they would probably try to sue the fuck out of me, you know what I mean? Like, but then again, how many records you need to sell before any of these dudes pay attention? You know what I mean? Like, where am I? You know, the place where I'm at now in the music game. It's not even nearly there, you know what I mean? So it doesn't. I don't think it matters. Yeah, you know, so far I never had a problem, you know, and I have a whole lot of productions and a whole lot of releases, and you know, I sampled some real crazy stuff like Frankie Goes to Hollywood or whatever.
so when you make beats, do you remember every sample you use, or do you sometimes be in the mix and you just grab and go and you just you know?
You know, the thing is, you know, once, you know, I sample it, and it goes through a couple of stages, right, before the end product. So when you look at the session, it doesn't say the name anymore, you know, because I converted from stereo to mono. Most of the times I do that because I don't like to have, you know, the guitars or the one instrument on the left and one instrument on the right. If I want that, I do it myself, you know. But a lot of old records have that they like have like one sound on the left, one on the right. Right. And so I changed that. I'm gonna make it mono, and then there's not the name anymore, you know what I mean? It's just change it. I don't name it anymore, you know what I mean? So a lot of times people ask me, hey, what, I know that sample. What is it? I say, I don't know, man. Right. I don't even know anymore, you know? Right. Maybe I should make notes, you know, every time I make a beat, I should make notes, use this
just in case that higher end artists wants it, or
Maybe
for
I
the
should
project.
do that, but by now I'm sitting on so many productions, it's impossible to go back and find out what is what, you know.
Right. And you said you right now you have 30, 40 projects you're working on, or you put out?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, I've been doing beats since 2002, but there was also like maybe a 6, 7 years break where I literally did nothing because I lived abroad. I lived in Asia. I lived 3 years in Hong Kong, and then I lived 3 years in the Philippines because my wife is from the Philippines.
Right.
So in that time, I didn't do any beats. So when I came back, when we moved back to Germany, maybe after a year or a year and a half, I started to go back into making beats, you know, but it took me a while to get like, you know, it's like 7, 8 years later, the software already upgraded 20 times, you know, so I had to go back into it to find out everything. But then I got it all back and set, you know, and then maybe about 2018, I started to go public with my beats, you know. I made beats the whole time, but I didn't go public. I just made it for myself, more or less, you know.
Right.
So then I started to go on the forums and Facebook and whatnot, here, SoundCloud, and then people started to reach out and blah blah blah, and so it happened. The first MC I worked with was from Tennessee, called Fel Peeps.
Okay.
That's his name, and he's in a group called Cool Peeps.
Okay.
And one of the MCs is Cool from the F, so that's why they call it Cool Peeps, Fel Peeps, and Cool from the F.
Right.
Cool from the F is actually from New Jersey, but he moved to Tennessee at some point.
Gotcha.
So I did an album with them, and then from there it just took off, you know.
Right.
So many artists.
Right. So you can be working on one project at once, more than one project.
Oh, right now I'm working actually on like maybe 15 to 20 projects.
Listen, whoa. So you mean to tell, so basically you have to be in the lab every single day.
I'm in the lab every day, but not like all day, you know, like I'm there most of the times because, okay, I told you I'm working security. This is on the weekend.
Right.
My other job, is I'm working in a bakery. I'm actually baking bread and stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I got to get up early, right? So most of the times I come home, it's still early. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm waking up like 3 o'clock in the morning, go to work, come back 9 o'clock, like that, you know? So I got all day time. My wife is working in the hospital, so she's not home. So I got time to make beats, you know? That's basically where I got the time.
Right.
But
wow. So how many beats are you making a day?
No. It sounds crazy, but right now, well, today I made 3 beats. But the whole last week I made maybe also 3 beats only. But maybe I mixed the whole album. You know, I mixed the whole album. I mixed actually in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I mixed 4 albums. Like always like 14, 15 tracks, including my own. So sometimes I make more beats, and sometimes I mix stuff and send it for mastering to a friend of mine. Who works with me, and so
now do you ever
spend a lot of time?
Do you ever get tired of your older beats that you've made that are just sitting on the computer, or are those also have to be used?
Well, you know, basically the crazy thing is right now, like this year I made 192 beats this year so far, right? Out of 192 beats, only 10 are free. I got 10 beats that I could sell theoretically. You know what I mean? All the other beats are being used for some projects. So you know, the quote is not bad though. You know what I mean? But out of those 180 beats that's being used, maybe I sold 20. You know, so what I'm trying to say is I don't sell that many beats. You know, but I make a lot of music, you know what I mean? And that's the most important to me right now, you know. So.
Just making a whole lot of music. All right, so before we sign off, who are you looking to work with? Like who's on your wish list of MCs you want to work with next?
Honestly, Yeah, so you're talking about like the old school.
Either anybody, just period. Like who's on your wish list? Old school, who's out now? Who's on your wish list that you want to get one in, or even do a whole project with?
I mean, yeah, I was like, I like Jizza or Ghostface Killer
Okay.
as MCs, or I like a lot of MCs from Queensbridge,
Oh
like
yeah.
like Mike Geronimo or
Oh
Royal
wow.
Flush.
Yeah, Flush is
You
good.
know, I mean, I met Havoc and Big Noid already. I got 2 tracks with Big Noid actually, two
Okay.
like featured on the track.
Mhm.
But I have so many. You know, I would like to do something with Nas too. You know, but because I always feel like I want to bring him back to the, you know, to
Yeah. Yes.
you know, you
Yes.
know what I mean.
Please do. Please do.
But the
Please
thing is,
do.
it's just the lifestyle. His lifestyle is like far from what his lifestyle used to be when he started out. Like when he came out with Illmatic,
Right.
you know, he can't rap that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? So that's why
But he
everything
can still
changed.
get them beats from you though. Those type of beats. He needs
Oh
those.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
That's
He
true.
needs both Fat right now, man.
Yeah, that
Nas,
would
if
be
you
a dream.
listening
You
and
know
you
what I
see
mean?
this, man, stop playing. Get with both Fat. For real.
But I gotta say, the MCs I work with, a lot of them, they don't need to hide from all these super famous or dope MCs. You know what I mean? Like Mo Ruckus, he's the other half
Oh,
of
Ruckus.
We got an album down, bro. If you
Mhm.
listen to this, this is already done since a year, but we wait for the right time to release this.
Mhm.
This is completely nuts. The
Mhm.
album I have now with Kenneth Masters is crazy. You know what we did with that one? That's actually where I gave out the stamps, and I'm satisfied with it, with the
Okay.
result. You know
Right.
why? Because nothing changed, only the sound was enhanced.
Right.
But the mixing and mastering was done old school, analog.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So
Mm.
the sound is like that. You know what I mean? That it took maybe more than half a year to get that done. But
Right.
this guy was working with reel to reels. You know what I mean? Like
Oh wow.
like
Real to reals?
also on a real board and everything.
Wow.
Obviously, he had to record it from digital,
Right.
right? Because what we gave him was digital, but he converted it and then he mixed it and mastered it to like in analog style and stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Bo Fat, man, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to chop it up with me for season 3, strictly for my diggers. You know what I mean? Mr. Ripley, you know what I mean? Appreciate you for making that, you know, suggestion. I already knew who Bo Fat was. He was already on my list, but you know what I mean? Definitely had
Man,
to
I
make
appreciate that. I'm super honored to be on this, man. I would never would thought that someone from the States, you know, asked me to do that.
Oh yeah.
You know, so because but yeah, man, I'm super fun, super nice. I think we could have talked like 3, 4 more hours, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
So,
we could have, but yeah, we got to cut it short. You know what I mean?
but you know what? I listen every time I go to work or I go home or I do some stuff at home. I always listening to your show since I know about it, you know. So I listened to the complete second season in the last week.
Right,
You
right.
know, I listen to everything.
That's what's up. You know, this platform is for us as far as beat makers. You know, like I tell everybody, it's the so they can match. You know, put a face to the name. You know, my whole thing is to put you on the same platform as the artist. You know.
Yeah, I hope more people will, you know, discover your channel. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna share it on all my social media, you know, and let people know that they should check it out and stuff,
Absolutely. You know, I
I
do
know
this
a
for
lot
the
of
love, man.
producers.
I do it for the love. You know, I love chopping it up. I love because this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
all education for me. All these questions I'm asking is what I want to know, but it's also other beat makers who may be in their bedroom making
Oh,
beats,
definitely.
who are just starting.
Definitely.
They want to know this, you know, and things like
Yeah.
that. So I appreciate you for sharing. I know I got a little nosy and I dig, but this is beat talk. This is beat science, as I call it. I don't like to ask so many generic questions.
No, it's dope, man. It's really
You know,
fun
word
and
up.
interesting. And then I gotta say, I learned something from the previous shows that I was checking
Right.
from you. You know what I mean? So really
Absolutely.
dope. Really.
Yeah, so it's education for us all, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Word up, I
man.
salute you.
And a lot of times I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, right,
Right,
yeah, same here. You know.
right.
It's
You see,
dope, man.
you see, you be having a lot in common with a lot of these the beat makers like, oh, I do that too. Oh, I never thought about, oh, I'm gonna try that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it takes your
Exactly.
beat making to a whole other level, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. I
Definitely.
feel you, man.
All right, salute.
Salute, brother.
All right,
Listen,
peace.
pleasure. Big pleasure. Peace, bro.
Peace.
I'm gonna tell you now, I ain't no holy individual, but I am